There was an innocence about her, a sense of awe and wonder. And this was big for me at this time in my life because I had gone through the academic world, the sacred journey of academia. I'd spent quite a bit of time in the corporate world, and there's a trade-off, and I know that you know this, that as we remember and as we develop the knowledge in our lives, we lose that innocence. And I'd become aware of that. As an example, I went to school not far from here, up in Fort Collins, Colorado, just north of here. And if you've ever driven west on Interstate 70 out of Denver, you've seen one of the most awesome spectacles that nature has to offer in the form of a road cut. And there's a road cut there where I-70 goes right through the side of a mountain, and all of the layers were tilted by geologic forces about this angle, and they are the most magnificent colors you've ever seen. It goes from the deepest black to a gray and an olive, and then a violet and a pink, and then an orange and a white, and then the whole thing starts all over again. Before I was a geologist, I used to look at that and I'd say, look at those colors. How beautiful. And after I was a geologist, what I said was, look at those magnificent dip angles and the overthrust faults. Because I'd lost a degree of innocence in that respect. And what I knew in that moment, as I recognized what it was that I was missing about this woman, I knew that I was not in love with her, that she had very, very powerfully, in a brief period of time, in just a matter of hours, had held a mirror to me of a huge portion of myself that I had lost in exchange to attain that which I chose to attain in my life. And I believe that we've all done this to some degree. I believe that we have all either given away consciously, lost without even knowing it, or had taken away by those who have power over us at some point in our lives, huge portions of ourselves to survive life. And perhaps more than ever before, at this time in human and geologic history, we're asking ourselves to bring those pieces back once again, so that in our wholeness we may know ourselves and have the experiences that we're choosing to have in this lifetime. It was an amazing experience for me to have that, and I knew that she had just shown to me the third Essene mirror of relationship, that which you have lost, given away, or had taken away. And the truth is, the reality of this experience is, I believe that if we are honest with one another, truly honest with one another, in almost every eye of every individual that you'll ever look into, if you look long enough, you'll see and you'll feel that sense of a portion of yourself. You'll feel that recognition. You'll sense that familiarity. I'll invite you to do this. Do this in a public place. When this happens to you, if it is in a bus or a train station or an airport or a mall or grocery stores, because people in grocery stores are usually not expecting these kinds of experiences. When someone comes into your awareness and you feel that feeling, initiate a conversation about anything. Maybe it's in the produce department. That happens there frequently. Talk about produce. Nice melons, nice grapes, nice bananas, whatever it is. Anything to initiate conversation. And while they're speaking, ask yourself in your mind, ask yourself this question. What is it that I see in this person that I lost, that I've given away, or that I had taken away within myself? And you'll be amazed at what comes back to you. You will be amazed. This little portion of the Essene mirrors, when we do these workshops, you never know who's going to show up and how it's going to work out. And typically we have people sign up and cancel and rearrange and postpone. Well, I did a workshop a few years ago. It was in the Southwest. And when all was said and done, it was a workshop of 40 males, all men. And some of them were cowboys. I mean, these guys didn't take off their hats or their boots for anything. They said, I'll hug a man in this room. I'll never hug a man outside that door. And this little piece of information was so powerful for them because they were all married, they all loved their wives, and they were all drawn to other women all the time to their jobs, their workplace, and they didn't know why. They didn't know why. This is a powerful mirror. This applies in the corporate world, and I use this as a manager in the telecommunications industry. I manage two separate and related departments. We had employees in those departments who believed they were in love with one another, which is fine. And it led to a lot of lost time. Long lunches, they had more flat tires, more sick kids, and more dead grandparents than I had ever seen. And I suspected this is what was happening. And I invited them. This is the value. This is why this is relative, because we can implement these principles in our lives. I invited them into a conference room. Each of them were married. They were both married, and they had their respective families, and they loved them very much. I invited them into a conference room with the three of us, and I invited them to sit and to look at one another across the table and to share with one another what it was that they were attracted to. Why were they drawn to one another? And there was almost an audible sigh of relief as they realized that they really weren't in love, that they didn't have to risk losing the families that they held dear, that they were witnessing in one another huge portions of themselves that they had lost within themselves. What a powerful mirror. 1988. I was working on the Star Wars defense program in Waterton Canyon, south of Denver. And we had some high-ranking Pentagon officials that came to review our program, and each department had one invitation of an individual who would get to go, and to this day I don't know how it landed on my desk, and it did. And I went to this review, and afterwards I had the opportunity to spend time with some of these officials. And there was a conversation that was happening it was a dinner, just before a dinner that evening. And one of the people in the group looked at this one particular gentleman. He had risen through the ranks of corporate America and was now seated on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And they said to him, "How did you do this with your life? What is it that had to happen in your life to allow you a position of this magnitude of power and control?" And he was very conscious when he said this. He looked at everyone in the circle as we were there. And he said, "To get where I am today, each time I climbed a rung on the corporate ladder, I gave a piece of myself away. And then I'd climb another rung, and I'd give another piece away." And he said, "Pretty soon I'd given away everything that I've ever held dear to me, everything I've ever loved. I've given away my friends." He said, "I essentially have no friends. I've given away my family. My wife and I are divorced. My children and I don't even speak any longer." And he said it was worth it to me, because in my life, my goal was to have this power and this control. It was worth it. So he was conscious of it, and I was amazed that he was that candid, that he shared that. And I know that we do this, that we compromise pieces of ourselves to survive whatever it is that life offers to us. So when you find yourself powerfully, magnetically drawn to another person, maybe it doesn't make sense why that would be. Maybe it's a person of the same sex, and you try to put a label on that. And I've worked with a lot of clients in the last few years who have had those experiences. Or maybe you say, "I'm a woman, and I just like to be around men." What does that mean? Or "I'm a man, I just like to be around women." Think about this experience. Think how odd this experience is that we're having right now. We are essentially genderless souls. We're not male or female until we come into bodies. And then we come to this world of polarity, and we must choose one or the other. And when you choose one or the other, you compromise that which you did not choose. So as a male, I came to this world, I chose to polarize into a male body, although my soul is genderless. It is both masculine and feminine simultaneously. So I put my feminine on the back burner. And women, you've put your masculine on the back burner. So when we arrive in this world, we may find ourselves unexplainably drawn to someone of the other polarity. I did a workshop in the Bay Area a few months ago, and people said, "What about when we're drawn to the same polarity? What does that mean?" And I believe that the mirror holds. And this is a powerful mirror with no labels. It's simply a mirror. Let me give you an example of how this may work. This is a case history that I worked with. What happens if you're a male? You come into this world, you're a genderless spirit, you choose to become a male, you compromise your feminine. So you've given 50% of that experience away already, and you come here as a male. Early in life as a male, what if you live conditions where your masculinity is taken from you? Through abuse, in this particular example, in this case history, through abuse. You gave your feminine away to be here, and once you got here, your masculine was taken from you. What have you got left? Nothing. What will you seek? You will seek to reinforce that which you most identify with at that point in your life. If you've come into this world as a male and that masculinity was taken from you, you'll seek to reinforce that which you have that recent memory of. You may seek time, and this gentleman was seeking time with a male, and it was confusing to him. He didn't know why. And as he began to understand this, it made tremendous sense to him why, and within a few months, he didn't have that orientation any longer, and if he had of, that would have been fine as well, because we're simply dealing with patterns of energy until we place labels on them. Isn't it interesting how that works? We'll seek to reinforce that which we have lost, given away, or had taken away in our lives. So I'll invite you to look at your life, look at the people that you are compelled to be with, and ask yourself, what is it in them that you've lost, given away, or had taken away in your life? And then romance in our culture today, romantic relationships. How many times have you heard of couples that come together because they feel this charge, and then the charge goes away? And they say, well, I'm not in love anymore. And the reality may very well be that their love has served them so well, that which they sought in another, they have now healed in themselves, and they will not feel that charge. And at that point, they've served one another so well, they've become that wholeness. From that point forward, they may choose to continue that relationship based on completely different principles, because they simply enjoy one another's company.